and you're feeling low, don't think that the city is the place to go. Well, I'll tell you one thing worth singing about. If you run it, be sure you can get back out. City playboys are always around to help build your hopes up and help drag them down. They'll leave you with nothing worth saying about. Well, now you're in, but now you won't back out. The great city holds true stone, 7 million people, and each one standing alone. You're caught in a whirlpool of East Side cafes, and love is a cocktail of beers and parades. And the rules are the one thing you're drinking about. Well, now you're in, but now you won't back out.
Aloha, I'm Dr. Gloria Latimore-Peace, host and producer of OmniU Presents the H3O Art of Life show. It's been a long time since I've taken you out on a date. And actually, I didn't take you out on a date, but I did show you a clip of a date that I went out on with my daughter to see Joan Collaso perform at the DuSable Museum. She's here in the studio, and I want to talk to her about a whole lot of things.
Okay.
So I want to greet you, Joan Collaso.
It is my distinct pleasure to be talking to you today.
It is my distinct pleasure to just watch you perform. I want you to know, I just need to heap all the praises on your head because, you know, I think about that song, Killing Me Softly, with his songs, and I said, she is killing me softly with her songs. I was just, you know, I could have just been scooped up and carried out of there in an ice cream cone because I so enjoyed you. I so enjoyed the entire show. You have wonderful musicians, you have wonderful dancers. You yourself are a wonderful performer.
Thank
and
you.
Of course, you just look beautiful standing there performing.
Thank
so
you.
I just want you to know how much I appreciate you as an artist.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I told you that you really had no idea how well I knew you. Well, actually, I don't know you directly. I know you indirectly because your father, Judge James Walton, was my friend, was my attorney,
Really?
was my colleague in the struggle on the west side of Chicago when we struggled against machine politics along with Gus Savage and Bennett Johnson and a lot of other people whom you will not know because you were a little girl. And your mother was at home raising the family, so she was not with us often. But I saw your father and talked to him all the time. And he was not just someone who was an attorney who, you know, just had a client, but he was someone who took a personal interest, at least I can say for myself, in my own case. And he protected me. He demanded people do things that they were supposed to do that I didn't know that they were required to do, so that I would be able to raise my little family and have the kind of support that I needed. So I just need to let you know that I know you because I know that you have come from a wonderful family.
Thank you very much. That's my dad.
Absolutely, and I know you have to be, and when I sit across and look at you,
You see
I'd
him?
see his face, you know. But of course, when I first saw you perform, I didn't know of your connection to him. And then when he passed away, and I came to the services,
You saw me running around.
and you were there. And you were his daughter, and oh
Yes.
my goodness,
Yes.
you know. So
Yes.
the world
I think
is
out of all of my brothers and sisters, there are 4 of us. I look the most like my dad.
yeah,
My brother Julian would probably try to fight me on that, but
right,
I
right.
think I got it.
Tell me about your family. How did you come to be the artist that you are? Because you know you could have gone into law, you could have done a number of other things. Because your mother is a learned woman as well.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Well, my mother and my father met singing.
Oh.
Music is the legacy of our family.
Okay.
Yes, and of course, and law. But it all started because they were at Virginia Union University together. They found each other on a tour of the choir. And so my mother and father have always sung in different aggregations. When they came to Chicago, my father was in the Tommies.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
he was in the Knights. Oh, don't get me started. Some Knights, the Knights of the Round Table, something like that. That's
Okay,
probably wrong.
okay.
But and then he went to St. Stephen's. Of course, he sang with the choirs there, and you know, of course, he was always a trustee and always involved very much deeply into things that he was concerned about. And my mother was always in the choir. She's in the choir now in Virginia, in the church that she's in now. So that has always been constant in our family. We always had a piano. We always sang around. We still do. We get together for Thanksgiving and so forth. We all sing. All my relatives sing. I'm the only one that I can think of that actually
Made a career.
That made a career out of it. So, and I had major support from my parents.
All right.
Yeah, all the way.
Did anybody else go into law?
I have a cousin. My Aunt Clara, who's my dad's sister, her son is a lawyer.
All right.
And he's in D.C.
Okay. Okay.
I have a brother that is the principal now at Manley High School.
All right.
That's James Jr.
Okay.
My sister, it was my father's legal secretary in
Okay.
Virginia until he closed his office.
All right.
And she's still there working in a law firm. And my younger brother Julian is a businessman.
All right. Okay.
And a marketing genius. So he
Okay.
works with me. And Julian and Jimmy are here in Chicago, and Janet is still in Virginia with my mom.
Okay. Well, it's wonderful because when you think about that kind of family, you know, to be close knit, to be able to get through the vicissitudes of life
Yes.
with a family intact, you know, with children who are not broken and bruised and battered down by the kinds of things that can happen to a family, you know, growing up in this neck of the woods.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Your father was just such a charming man. You know, he was just smooth as butter.
Yeah.
You know.
He was a cool cat daddy.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
That's what I like to call him. He was very cool.
His manner of speaking was deliberate, but it was very calm and very soft, but yet you didn't take him for a pushover at all. And like I said, you know, he took care of my legal affairs, and he was an advocate. He made certain that things that were supposed to be done got done. And I thought a lot of him, and I believe he thought a lot of me because of the way that he treated me.
He was very consistent.
Right. And
in
so
the way that he treated people. After he retired from the bench, you know, he was a circuit court judge.
Right.
And he moved to Virginia with my mom. He started another law firm because being a lawyer was actually his first love. He told us that he became a judge because he got off work at 3 o'clock and he wanted to spend time with his family. And I choose to believe that. So when he retired, like I said, he went back to his first love, which was being a lawyer. And he, you know, I mean, his funeral was actually in Virginia and his memorial was here.
Okay.
And so it was unbelievable how many people, as many people or more, as there are here in Chicago who could testify to the character of my dad.
Right.
They all say the same thing. He was
Right.
very consistent.
Right. And when a girl grows up with a father like that, then she has a very excellent role model to choose a mate.
Yes.
And I think you've gotten yourself a very fine mate.
Yes, I have.
Yes,
yes, I
indeed.
have. Larry Hanks. Yes.
Yes,
He
indeed.
is a very good, loving, kind to a fault. Sometimes I have to be the one to go, you know, because he'll just do and give and do and give, and he'll just pour himself right out. And I was like, save some for the family, you know, stop, you know. So, but yeah, he's a very giving and loving individual. So yes, and he's very smart, and he has a lot of wisdom, and so I respect him like I respect my dad.
Well, that's wonderful.
It
Now,
is.
how
It's a
did we
blessing.
meet Larry?
Huh?
How did you and Larry meet?
Well, music.
Okay, of course.
We met at a rehearsal.
All right.
We met at a
Okay.
rehearsal, and he's very playful.
Okay.
And at the time that we met, you know, I was, you know, not as playful. You know, I was very serious. When I'm trying to get something done, I'm serious. I want to do that. And he was playing around and being silly. So I was like, oh, I don't like you. And he was very persistent. And he knows it. I tell my kids, I didn't like him at first, but, you know, he grew on me as far as just as a friend. And then when he became a friend and I saw what a wonderful person he really was, then I fell in love with him.
Well, you fell in love. You've got the right one, baby.
I got the right one, baby.
That's right.
Yes.
You got the
And
one
he's
for
talented.
you.
Very
of
talented.
Of course, because you both performed in your show
Yes.
at the DuSable Museum.
Yes.
Now, how much of what your show entails is his responsibility? Because it seems to me he wears a lot of hats.
Yes. Well, the first big time-consuming thing that he had to do with that particular show, and everything really that we do, is he has to create the charts. We brainstorm on arrangements, but he primarily is responsible for arrangements, and then the task of writing them out. So we had 7 pieces. Sometimes we have less, sometimes we have more, but you have to write a chart for each instrument is different, so they have to have their own chart, especially in a situation like that, you know. And he created the overture, and of course he was with me every step of the way when I was making decisions about songs, about where to put the dancers, which songs made more, and ultimately it did fall to me, but he's my counsel, my secret counsel, my counsel, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. And he did a lot of leg work to get it done. It's so much involved in that type of production. I mean, we had to start, you know, with the picture just for the promo. Then there's the promo itself, and you have to create the promo. Then you have to go and pay to have it done, and then you have to get it out there, and then you have to do e-blast now. You know, that's the thing to do, e-blast. And I'm very grateful to Melody Span Cooper and WVON because they got the word out for me on the radio. That was just God.
Right,
And,
right.
Melody, I love you. And so forth and so on. I mean, it's just a lot of work that goes into it. And Larry and I were at the helm of it all, but so many people helped us to get that done.
When I think about just the concept that you thought to pay tribute to your sister artists,
Yes.
you know, that you chose music from your sister artists, some of whom are alive and some of whom are no longer with us, to not to try to cover their songs per se, or to try to you know, demonstrate that you could take it to another level, or there was no competitiveness in it. It was just your adoration of these women who were such wonderful artists. And there you were standing on that stage, and I'm telling you, every song that you sang, see, I know all these people. I looked at those people in the face singing those songs.
Yeah, yeah.
And so every song you sang, it was as though you incarnated those performers.
That's a great compliment.
It's
That's
true.
a great compliment.
It's true. You know, you lost yourself. Your ego just extinguished itself.
Wow.
And you just allowed yourself to bring that music to life, and it was such a pleasure because, you know, we can't, you know, what are we gonna do? Some of these people we can't see anymore. We can listen to their music, you know, on CDs,
right.
but we won't see them perform again. We may get a video clip. And then for you to have, you know, to have brought Lena Horne there, you know, too, because, you know, in the course, I don't think you planned that at first, did you?
No. As a matter of fact, when I had been dreaming about doing a tribute to Nancy Wilson and Shirley Horn for a couple of years, and but never did, you know, never found the opportunity, didn't create the opportunity, any of that. And then I got a call to come and do a set at the Hyde Park Jazz Society's Sunday Night Jam over at Room 43. So I said to my husband, I said, Larry, I think I want to do my tribute to Nancy Wilson and Shirley Horn. And he looked at me like, oh, here she goes. Because I didn't know any of the songs. He didn't know any of the songs. We had about a month and a half to pull it together. And I said, you know, I know the songs, you know, from osmosis. You know, Nancy Wilson was somebody I grew up with my dad.
Oh, really?
She was my dad's favorite female vocalist, and he thought she was the finest woman in the world.
My husband thought so too.
Yeah, so he was in good company. And so he would listen to her, and I listened. And then Shirley Horn, on the other hand, I didn't learn about her until I was grown and buying my own records or whatever. And I ran across her song. I can't even tell you where. But the first song of hers that I ever heard was Here's to Life. And it just struck me like it strikes so many other people, but it struck me like I gotta sing that song. I gotta sing that song, you know. And so eventually I found myself in Holland at the North Sea Jazz Festival in Europe. And Shirley Horn was there. And I was so excited because I had been listening to her records all those years, and now I was gonna get a chance to see her. By then she was in a wheelchair, and they rolled her out. I had my all access pass, by the way, so I was just kind of sitting there by myself. Because when I went to Europe, a lot of times I just worked with a Dutch band. I didn't get to bring my own band. Those days are still coming. Yeah, when they take my whole thing. But anyway, I'm sitting there, and you know, she comes out in her wheelchair, and she just sits in the middle of the stage with a trio. And she just took me to school. That's the way I have to say. Because it was an epiphany to see her. I had already seen Cassandra Wilson. She was on the same stage earlier. And I had already seen Diane Reeves. And they were both wonderful, fabulous. Diane Reeves is one of my all-time queens. She is so awesome. Of course. Awesome.
Of course.
And then Shirley Horn was last. And she just, in the wheelchair, and she just, it was her projection, it was her phrasing, everything that people say about her. She's just so moving, and it taught me that everything that I thought that singing and entertaining and moving people was about, I had about 85% of it wrong. And Shirley taught me what it was, and I can't even exactly tell you what it is, but it's in my spirit. So when you said that, you know, I was the spiritual thing, I'm like, it really is. And I know that I don't sound like Shirley or Nancy. It's not that. It's the spirit.
Right, right. Well, thank you for telling me what that quality was, because I knew that there was, you know, it when you sang it, it had the same effect that it had when she sang it.
Because I caught it. I got it. You know, when I sat there and looked and watched her, I got it. It just became a tangible thing for me. That intangible became tangible. I know what it was just her spirit.
I wish young artists would feel that way. For example, there are some songs that, you know, I regard as very nearly sacred, and I don't want to hear somebody else do some silly stuff with the song. And one of them is At Last by Etta James. And you cannot console me. You know, when folks start trying to do some hip hop and do some more stuff, no. You know, pick up what Etta James was feeling, because her feeling, her emotions are in that song. She is not just performing a song, but that a whole lot of pain and suffering is in that song. You know, a whole lot of release and relief is in that performance. And so I think that's what I'm looking for in certain songs. When I asked you if you'd heard Jimmy Scott and you told me that you had done When Did You Leave Heaven, the first time I heard Jimmy Scott sing that, I just collapsed. I mean, it's just, his phrasing was so impeccable. And that was every song, and this was at the Regal Theater, so I looked at him do this. This was every song he sang. If you heard that same song performed by anybody else, it was not that song at all. His song was a whole different composition, just with those words, but the whole different composition. So when I saw him very, very, very much later on, downtown at one of the hotels, when he was in somewhat of a decline, we could say. You know, he was just toward the end of his career. And I went up to him and I said, "When did you leave heaven?" And he said, "Why did they let you go?" Well, just, all right.
Just scoop you on
just
up, put
take
you back
me,
in the ice
all
cream
right,
cone.
carry me out again. You know?
I know the feeling.
Because you almost idolize these people because they have touched you in a place.
That's it.
That you didn't even know it was there. But you needed somebody to go there. For you. And show you that place was there. So
that's what Shirley Horn did for me.
I told Geraldine DeHaas, as we talked about Shirley Horn, I said, I want to Here's to Life played at my services. She said, "Girl, you know I said the same thing." Because it's a poignant, beautiful song, but it's not a defeatist song. You know, it's not a give up song. You know, it's not a, you know, I've been buked and scorned.
It's Here's to Life.
Right. Here's whatever, you know, and all the joy it brings. And you just, girl, you know, you just somebody else. You just somebody else singing that song.
Well, and that's the reason why I think that it's so important for experienced musicians and singers who have discovered certain things about music that in time that you don't just pick up when you're just trying to get the notes and you're just trying to get the melody and you're just trying to get the timing. You don't pick that up when you're young. There are some prodigies, don't get me wrong, which we will be seeing shortly, but everybody doesn't pick that up. I didn't have that when I first started singing. I knew I could sing, and you know, people tell you you can sing and you start feeling like, well, I can sing, you know, and then you get in a place where you can't totally receive what somebody is trying to tell you, especially when it's a difficult, intangible concept. I have to give a lot of credit to Val Ward. You know, I worked with Val.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have to give her credit. When I began working with, my father took me to her, by the way.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And she put me in one of her plays called In the Heart of the Blues, In the House of the Blues. It had both names at one time or other. And I had to, it was blues, and I was, you know, Stevie Wonder, Gladys Knight, Shaka Khan. And so wasn't feeling no blues. I couldn't feel it. And she helped me understand the feeling of the blues. And now I understand why, if you don't like the blues, you must have a hole in your soul. I understand that. And so that was a generational thing that I just got blessed, or my father had enough wisdom to put me into. And so that's the reason why I am adamant about seasoned professionals who know some stuff beyond just the notes and the melody and the harmony, working with young people who are coming along, because we can impart into them things that they don't have to live their whole life to learn. They can learn it just being around.
Right.
But that's only certain special young people who have that kind of patience. And so that's what I love.
That was the other beauty. The other beauty was time after time during the course of your show, you were introducing these very young people who were part of your organization, who were accomplished and talented, and who were a part of your organization. Such a beautiful thing to see.
It was wonderful. That was one of our goals, was to be sure that the show wasn't about just me singing. I did that at the Hyde Park Jazz Society. That's what that was. It was a jazz set. I had a trio. I stood there, I sang the songs with my personal touch, my personality or whatever. And it was wonderful. We had a wonderful time. We had a good time. I said, I want to take it to another level. I don't want it to just be about me standing there singing the songs, but I want to be artistic with it. I want to show it in different ways. I want dancers, you know, and I want young people. And so, by the way, on that first clip, let me just say the dancers were Dominique Cook, and Regina Taylor, and of course the wonderful Henry Johnson was playing the guitar on the way out of that song.
Oh, he's real insane.
Oh, I love him.
Oh,
madly.
he's real good.
Yes.
He's excellent. He's excellent.
He's excellent.
Yes.
And I also want to give credit to Miss Juanita Passmore, who helped us in no small way to pull all of this together. She was helpful on every level. To the point where now she is a executive board member of Joan Collaso, Inc.
She should be.
Yes,
she should be. Juanita Passmore has the most beautiful track record. You know, if you mention her name to any of the old timers such as myself, everyone knows her.
Yes.
And everyone knows her for the same reason, that she is always on, as we say, the right side of history. She's always taking, you know, she's always giving to the right causes. She's always supporting the right people. And so, you know, if you get the endorsement of Juanita Passmore, that's just your passport.
Yeah.
You know, anybody who's around who can give you a hand will give you a hand.
Yeah. She's an awesome lady. She's my friend and my confidant now.
Right.
We talk almost every day.
Well, that's good.
And she's dynamic. I took my brother Julian, we were talking about earlier. We work together. He's my business manager. I took him to meet her because we've had like a sort of a meeting. And after the meeting was over, we were leaving. He said, "She's awesome." I said, "I know."
Yes, I know too. Well, let's see if we can see some more of this show. We keep talking about it.
Okay.
Let's show a little bit more.
These two clips coming up are of the two young people. Mira Williams is going to play the violin. She's doing her classical entrance
and she is how old?
She's 12 years old. Hopefully she's still 12. I got in trouble with the other one.
Okay.
And then right after her, I just show a little bit of a wonderful solo on vibraphone from Thaddeus Tukes.
And
who is 17. He's 17
yes,
now.
Yes,
yes, and they're awesome.
Let's look at that. Shades of Lionel Hampton. You know, I looked at Lionel Hampton too when he was playing, you know, and I love the fact that you have live musicians, you know, that you're not using a lot of soundtracks and a lot of gimmicks, you know, that you actually, because this allows people to develop their talent, you know, and it allows us to connect with something that is natural and that's real. How are you able to find these people?
Well, these are people that I work with pretty regularly. And I'm just blessed to be able to say that, because a lot of times they're out of the country or they're working for someone else. They're like the prime commodity, but I was smart enough to have it on a Sunday. Because musicians work on the weekend. And Thursdays, you know, maybe, but Sundays, maybe. And so I just got blessed. I had James Perkins on saxophone. I had Ernie Adams on drums. I had Joshua Ramos on bass, Henry Johnson, Larry Hanks on keyboard and musical director, and then of course Thaddeus and Mira. And so it was just awesome. And you know what, I think about all of the stories that I've heard. I wasn't around, but I think about Miles Davis and John Coltrane, and then there's Ella, and then there's just, you know, they were everywhere. And they all had their sections, and so many phenomenal musicians. But now there are quite a few, but there's so many here in Chicago that are not getting to the place that they need to get to because there are not enough venues, there are not enough outlets.
You know, I had this conversation with my daughter because I'm very concerned that not only do we have not enough venues, but some venues are you know, may not be able to continue to be venues. And that disturbs me a lot because you know, it's essential to me for your artistry to continue to be available to us. We as a people need to see ourselves. We need to interface with ourselves, with our best selves. We need to see our gifts paraded before us and shared with us. And we have to have venues. There used to be times when you could go to the city colleges and see quite a few things there, you know. There were places that the community wanted to throw a celebration and they wanted to do a tribute, then they could go to Kennedy King, you know, and you could see, you know, a performance. You could see the Mantu dancers. You could see Oscar Brown Jr. and that whole entourage. You could see a lot of the good things, a lot of the talent that we have. But more and more, these venues are few and far between, which means that we don't have access to the best that is in ourselves, and the media then gives us the face of the worst
of whoever they want us to.
The worst that they can possibly present, the stereotypes about us, is what we get to see about ourselves. What then does that give our young people? You know, our young people need to be able to see themselves in the same way that you said when you saw Shirley Horn. She took you to school.
Yes, she did.
You know, and you learned your craft. You began to understand what it was that you were doing, and you probably began to assume some responsibility for replicating that, you know, and not just being, you know, just being mediocre, because you know you can get away with being mediocre. You know that we have plenty of mediocre people. Well, you see them on TV all day.
Unfortunately, mediocrity is being celebrated, and that's the reason why we have to do whatever we can do to keep ourselves out there for our young people, no matter how the fight, you know, how strong it gets against us. We have to continue to push and fight to bring these things out to the forefront, because if we don't, then there may be some prodigy out there who might turn to selling drugs because it's been shown to them that what they do and what they're good at means nothing to the world. And we can't let that happen.
When I was going to DuSable High School as a young woman, a young girl, we had Captain Walter Diet. This is before your time, but I'm telling you this so you just have a little of that. And DuSable High School had a band that was out of this world. I mean, it was filled with prodigies, and out of it came some of the most popular musicians, the most well-known musicians. But the important thing was that once yearly there was a talent show called Hijinks, and we got to see our classmates get down. And so we knew we were some bad people, you know, because we could go to the hijinks and watch, you know, just regular, everyday students like ourselves get on the stage and blow the top off of anything, an instrument, or whether they sang or whether they danced. We just had all this. We were bursting at the seams with talent. The black community had not only one Jackson 5. We had, you know, we replicated the Jacksons 1,000,000 times, and we had not just one Mahalia Jackson. Every church had a Mahalia.
That's right.
You know,
yeah.
So the thing is that, you know, the churches at one point were the place where a lot of talent was nurtured and able to come forth. The schools were a place where a lot of talent was nurtured and able to come forth. But we need to have venues, and we don't know just how bereft we are of places for artists to perform.
It's true, and I tell you, I just, you know, want to put it out there. If a place is trying to bring culture and music and goodness and you know a safe environment to the community, don't try to stop it. That's just, to me, that's just, I mean, I just, you know, I'm trying not to say anything religious, but that's just the devil.
Well,
Oops.
no.
That we have got to allow these things to happen. I mean, where I live in Bronzeville. Now, you know, that's why I won my Emmy doing a piece called Precious Memories, Strolling 47th Street with Val Ward for Channel 11. And in that piece, I learned about Teresa's and Jerry's Palm Tavern and all those places that they've torn down now to do whatever it was. Jerry's was the last to go, right?
Right.
And I think I might have even been living in that area when they tore down Jerry's Palm Tavern. And, you know, those places were available. And those were the places to go, whether you were black or white. You know, and I wasn't alive then, but I know this. How did I know it? Because I had somewhere that I could go to learn it. I had some people that were teaching me and putting me in situations. And that's all I want to do. And just for FYI, unfortunately, I don't have a save the date, but I am in conjunction with Joan Collaso, Inc. and Juanita Passmore and my husband Larry, my brother Julian. We are putting another show together. We're going to do a tribute to Nancy Wilson and Shirley Horn again in February.
All right.
But we're doing a show closer to the holidays where we're going to use a lot of young people.
All right.
And so be on the lookout for a Joan Collaso production around the holidays.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I knew that you cannot contain all of this energy.
No.
I know.
You gotta keep
I
going.
almost wanted to ask you, girl, how you stand yourself? when you hear your own voice, it ought to do something even to you.
Well, you know, I will say this. Half of the time when I hear myself, I'm not satisfied. Somehow I feel as though it should have been better. I mean, and that's not just me. That's a lot of artists. But I will say, when I looked at this video, and I've seen the whole video, I was a little pleased. I was a little pleased. I said, okay, this is not bad.
We loved it. And you know we loved it. We were all standing around there for hours after it was over.
The audience, that was the best audience that any entertainer could ever want. it was the best congregation that any pastor would ever want. Was it not?
Absolutely. And
Oh,
let
my
me tell you,
goodness.
you were sold out. And when I heard them tell some lady in the lobby that we're sold out, I just didn't, I felt so sorry because, because, you know, this person, you know, obviously didn't know what to do, and I don't know if anything was done after that.
Well, I tell you the story that I heard. I heard a lot of stories, but one woman found me a week later, and she was telling me that she had come to the door, and they told her, you know, we're sorry, we're sold out. And she said, no, you're not. You are not sold out. And they looked at her, and she looked at them, and they said, okay, well, go right in, ma'am, and see what you can do. I thought that was a really cute
Right,
piece. She
right,
said,
right.
No, you're not.
Right.
So, but it was, yeah, it was full. And that
Right.
when I found out that it was full, I almost cried because I didn't know. I mean, this happened at the door. This wasn't something that I had knowledge of before the show started. You know, I just kept a prayer. I kept a good thought. If anybody asked me, I just kept saying, we're expecting a full house. I wouldn't let my mouth say anything else. Speak life. We know that, right?
Right, of course.
And so when I found out that it was really a full house, I almost cried. But when I got out there and they started hooting and responding,
just
and they were just out of
ecstatic.
control. It
Yeah,
was
we
wonderful.
were ecstatic because we knew we were getting ready to have the best time.
It was wonderful.
You know,
It was
and it
so
was just,
wonderful.
and you know, certainly I enjoyed every single moment, even the intermission when we got a chance to see who all was there, when the
Right.
lights went up and you waved at these people and said hello and so forth, and folks came and acknowledged you. But we sat there through every song. You could hear a pin drop, you know, and there was a good mix, you know, the pace that you carried, that rhythm that you carried throughout the show. It was nothing jolted you out of your tranquility, you know, or put you to sleep in the middle of dancing around. It was just perfectly paced. But every single person in that room, I believe, who knew Shirley Horn, when you got into Shirley Horn, was waiting for Here's to Life.
Yes.
And you didn't let us know that you was gonna do that. In fact, I never saw the program, so if they were giving people programs, I didn't see the program that said she's gonna sing this and this and this and this in this order. And so I'm thinking, she can't close this show without singing Here's to Life. And when you started singing that song, didn't you hear people just scream out?
Yes.
We just, we were so I just said, yes. Because, you know, that was my dessert. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for you to do that
and
piece.
I take enormous pleasure in singing that song.
And you bring enormous pleasure.
Yep.
Yeah.
We used
Yeah.
it. That song was played at my father's memorial, and I have sung it at funeral services in the past. But it just is so universal, and it's so true.
It's
And
absolutely.
and the more life that you've had, the more you understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure that when you were getting your repertoire together, there were a lot of things to choose from. There are a lot of signature songs by all of these artists, and so you could have chosen one or another. So you and your husband together decided which songs you should do, or?
Well, this is how it really went. I listened to a lot of songs, and I picked the ones that I liked. That's really what I did.
Okay.
And I had several, more than we did. And then I said, Larry, these are the songs I like, and he listened to them. And then we said, okay, out of these, this is what we'll do. And we, you know, we hashed it out back and forth. Well, we're not going to do this one. Yes, we are. I have to do this one, you know. And he had one that he really wanted to do that. I said, we're going to throw this one. No. And so we hashed it out. And that's how we basically came up with it. And I said on stage, and I still hold to, the next time that we do it in February, I am going to send out an e-blast. So anybody that is not on my email list needs to go to joancollaso.com and send me an email with their request. And we are going to change 2 songs. We can't change the whole thing because, like you said, it's such a good. The
it's
show
a flow.
the flow is so nice. But we can substitute, like that won't mess up the flow.
Well, I have said that I'm going to vote. I said
do.
I'm voting.
I'm looking forward to seeing what
voting.
As people are telling me as I go through, different places. People are telling me, and I said, well, when I send out the e-blast, it'll probably be after the holidays, January. Say, okay, let me know what you want to hear, and I'm going to pick 2.
Okay.
Maybe 1 from Nancy, 1 from Shirley, or 2 from Shirley, and leave Nancy the way I have it. It depends, because Nancy is pretty much, there are some others. There are definitely many others, but I mean, when I did, when they said doo 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 doo, there's no way in the world I'm going to get rid of that. There's no way.
No, of course not.
Can't do it.
No, of course not. Of course not. And then, of course, I loved your rendition of Guess Who I Saw Today with the dancers.
Yes.
The wonderful thing about it was that the dance was meaningful. Most of the time when you have anything other than backup singers, they're a distraction because you're trying to listen and see the singer, and you're trying to listen, you're trying to watch the dancers, and I think it may sometimes lack coordination. But the dance that accompanied Guess Who I Saw Today with this guy with this briefcase.
Was that? Oh, he was so perfect.
That was, the whole thing was just, and that dancer she was,
Regina.
She danced that piece so well, and we just was, and we all, the thing is, we all know these songs, we all know the lyrics, we all know how it's going to turn out, and we just waiting for I Saw You.
Right, right. And that's the reason why I said, it was just do something else. Let's interpret it. Let's interpret it. And I was concerned. I had the same concern about, what was going to happen. But I said, let's just do it and see. If we don't like it, we don't have to do it the next time. They loved it.
We loved it. We loved the whole show. We loved the whole show.
And Regina did that choreography herself.
Did she?
And and the other 3 dancers I have to give to my daughter, Janetta Collaso.
Okay.
She choreographed the other 3. But Regina did that one when we first got together the very first time. I had sent her the song. She had never heard it before. Young people.
Really?
She had never heard it before, which was so precious. That's, because it's fresh for her.
Right.
And so when we got together, she had it. She had her dance the very first time we got together. And it was very interpretive. It was very mime interpretive. It wasn't all long lines and, just a whole bunch of twirling and stuff. But she actually tried to go with the words, which gave it a kind of a miming vibe. My daughter Jenny gave me that word. Okay. And and it just worked so perfectly.
It did.
It worked so perfectly. And we were laughing because I told her, she had the CD, of course, and she's singing it, and you get used to that rhythm. I said, now, when I start singing it, I'm not going to sing it like that. I'm going to go, you're so late. You just have to wait. I said, so just relax. So she said, okay. And I thought she did an excellent job. And the man was Vern Allison.
Okay, all right.
Vern Allison is a very accomplished drummer and singer himself, and he's my very good friend. And so he agreed to do that, and I thought he was perfect.
He was perfect.
He was perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Now, we have to get to this, whoever this costume designer or who is this person who is pouring you in these gowns?
Well, actually, the first 2 gowns, the Shirley Horn gown, which is the black, and then the Nancy Wilson horn, which was kind of champagne color, those I just bought.
Really?
I bought those, and it just...
Well, did you have to have them altered at all? Then you just are a perfect size, whatever that size is.
It just worked out. It just really worked out perfectly.
And Cinderella left her shoes. And
everybody was loving the shoes.
I'm telling you, I was trying to see that heel. I was getting behind there to see.
My
You
friend
just,
said if I give those shoes to his wife, he would peel her a grape.
I love that Peel Me a Grape. I love that song.
But the last outfit that I wore for Lena Horne was made by Quentin D. Alexander.
Okay, okay.
Who was also a friend of mine.
Okay.
And he was just so wonderful. It just goes to show you when you get ready to do something that is just good and it's just all good, that people want to be involved.
Right, people
because
wanna
I
help.
was just trying to figure out what I was going to wear. You know, I was going to do the same thing that I had done. I was looking and looking and looking and looking. And I said, oh, this is nice. And I would buy it. And I said, well, if I don't like it, I can always send it back and try again.
Right.
And we were talking on the phone, and I said, I have everything except, you know, my Lena Horne dress. I said, you know, I wish I could find one like that cover of The Lady and Her Music.
Right.
And he says, I'll make it for you. I said, you will? I said, I can't afford it. He said, oh, don't worry about it. I'll do it.
Oh my goodness.
Just like that.
Oh my goodness.
Just like that. It was a blessing. So thank you,
it.
Quentin D. Love
Well, you were blessed when you came into this world with the parents that you have.
Yes.
You know, you got off to a really good start.
Thank you so much.
So you just keep on keeping on, sister girl.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. I'm going to keep you posted.
We gotta see. We gotta see a little bit of this Shirley Horn piece.
Now,
After which I will not say a word because I will be speechless. Go ahead. You got about 1 minute to say something.
1 minute to say.
Okay.
I just want to say that I never intended to copy these ladies or try to be like them. I only wanted to pay homage to them, to pay a tribute to them, to bring them out as a historical piece, and to show them in their beauty. But I did Joan Collaso. I thought, but I tried to capture the spirit of what I've learned watching them all my life.
And you did a very fine job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, leave me speechless.